Hey everybody, tonight we're going to be talking about the Rich Coins Gem Mechanical Slider by GAO Studio. Another one of their low-end plastic models. These are all PC or polycarbonate. Up in the right corner there you should see the different flavors. Yellow, red, black, and what they call milk, or it looks more like a tan color to me. Actually it looks more like PEEK plastic, the P-E-E-K plastic. But we're going to do the usual, take it apart, talk about it, measure it, weigh it, compare it to a few things, and just try to have some fun. So, please stick around. Okay, well let's give this thing a little bit of a look and a listen. It's very light. It's got a black exterior, see-through, transparent. I'll get the flashlight out here when we take it apart so I can show you where the balls are, but it is somewhat transparent, but it has this interesting diamond pattern to it. Sort of shimmers in the light. GAO Studio is written on both sides. Here on this little portion here, you can see some of the there's two rows of detents. One are dense and one are paragraph, which means they're spaced out a little bit. These aren't dense either, I guess. They're standard. Standard meaning it's one circle right next to another circle right next to another circle. But the top level there is paragraph, so it's one circle, then a space or skate, and then another circle or a detent for the ball to drop into. And it's pleasant. There's two springs and balls, but the unfortunate thing is they both have to ride on the same track. There's no option to do both tracks at the same time, or to well, I guess that's all you'd want to do, one or the other. You can do one or the other, but that means just flipping this up and around, and that's easy to do because all this is held together with is magnetism. So we'll get to that when we take it apart. You see there's a little bit of what appears to be Teflon tape. One of the things we'll do here before we finish is we'll take that off and see if it works well without the tape, because I prefer not to have the tape on there. But it's a good looking little piece. Nice sound. Right now I think it's all the balls are set on the standard side, or the the more clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll get 3 clicks with it set up in the paragraph side. But yeah, let's move to the next segmento. Okay, well this will be quick and easy. What was in the box? There you go. This came from Valley, I'll write it up here, Valley Ryan store, which I've bought from several times because they were the lowest price. But I've noticed, and I just had a discussion with someone on Facebook about this, I think they save a few bucks. Like this was only wrapped in bubble wrap and then tape, and very much so. It was tricky to get into. But that's what they've done with everything they sent to me. You don't get the original box, no paperwork, no extras, no extra springs or balls or tape or anything. So be aware of that if you buy from Valley Ryan. And move on to the next segment. So I neglected to mention there, the Valley Ryan store does not appear to have this in stock anymore. So I'm not providing a link to them, but I'm going to provide a link to the official GAO store on AliExpress. I've bought from them several times and I trust them, and they have it for about $20. This falls in the $20 price range. So let's compare it to a few things. Let's start out with just something most people are familiar with. These two items I always use as a sort of a standard for comparisons. The top B from Metal Toys DZ. We'll do side by sides here. About the same height, I suppose. Thickness. And then the Mackie CP3. It's very similar. Of course, these are metal. This, which is also from GAO Studio, this is one of their most recent PC plastic, inexpensive, low-end pieces. I'm forgetting what this is called right now. I'll put it up here. But I was really happy with this. It's tricky to take apart. It'd be good to watch my video if you're getting one of these. But it is very much the same size and shape. Just very different in what they do. So, let's move on to the next. Well, you know what? This is a comparison. I did say this has similar magnets. I think I mentioned that this has magnets in it that are similar to something else I have, which is the rebound. You can probably just see, I'll use this flashlight, I'll put it on low. There is a bar here and a bar here, and those are the same kind of magnets that you find on a rebound. The rebound has 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it doesn't work the way that the rebound does. What is going on here? Oh, yeah. Stupid spring. That is something else this shares in common with the rebound. And those of you with a rebound know how easy it is to lose the spring and ball because it just sits there like that. If you give this to a kid, they're going to take it apart, spring and ball is gone. So you have to be careful not to do that. This is the same way. I'll show you when we do take it apart. When you do take it apart, you've got 2 springs and 2 balls, or just 1 spring and 1 ball, depending on how you have it set up, automatically exposed. There's nothing that holds these 2 halves together. So, size comparison anyhow. If you happen to have a rebound, maybe this will give you an idea. And I would say this falls, GAO Studio has made many toys in plastic or polycarbonate. Usually polycarbonate, I think. I don't think I've seen anything else. But this is the cashew, the mechanical cashew. This is the 2-level version. There's a 3-level version. This, to my pleasant surprise, well after I'd had it for a while, I didn't know until I saw it on, it was either Sean Cousin's channel, that's the Fidget Fix, or Kyle Spencer's channel, and that would be Fidget Focused. But one of those guys pointed out that there's a row of dents, detents on this piece, and I didn't see it, but in through the plastic, maybe we can see it. No, we can't. It's completely covered with black plastic on this side. But there are detents. You can't see them. That maybe helps this. You can see those now a little bit better. But that's the dense track, and then underneath here is a standard track. So right now it's on the dense track, and all you have to do is take it apart and swap those sides, and you've got a little bit of modularity and something fun to do. You know, other than that, you can also play with the springs and balls. And this was about $20, $25, so it falls in that same sort of range. Again, after this, they came out with this thing, the Mahjong slider, which is supposed to be the same size and shape as a Mahjong tile, I guess. And I've reviewed all these, so you can go look at their individual reviews for more details. But the unique thing about this was that it has a set of detents on a plate that are hidden underneath here. So you can take this all apart and switch out this plate with the other plate. I believe one's dense and one's standard. So, and right now I think it's on the ones that we can see, whatever that is. But again, this was $20, $25, polycarbonate. So that also means it's injection molded, so it's a lot easier for them. These are not machined; they're injection molded, but they can do it cheaper then. And it's something, you know, I wouldn't have too much trouble handing this off to a kid, a smart kid, but any kid is going to take this thing and lose the ball and spring immediately. And that's the same with this one. So let's move on to the next segment. Alrighty, next thing we can do is weigh it. There are no magnets in this, so I don't have to worry about that interfering with the scale. Look at that, 17 grams. How does that compare with this piece? Wow, this is a little bit lighter, it's about 13 grams. Alrighty, let's do some measurements. All right, height, about 47. When fully extended, we are at about 59. Width, about 26. And thickness, about 14. So there we have all the stats. Next thing we're going to do is take it apart. Okay, let's take this puppy apart. It's very easy, and they talk about it in their advertisement. It's actually one of their sales points is it's easy to take apart and modify. So all you have to do is pop the top off the bottom by lifting it off. And in this case, there's the springs and balls. There's two of each in here. They're not going to shoot out and hit you in the eye, but we'd prefer not to drop them on the floor. So let's find out which way they're pointing, as Sean Couson of the Fidget Fix always points out, and rightly so. Here's the detents. So you know that the balls and springs are pointing this way. If I flip it over, they'll be pointing this way. And that's what I want to do, because when I lift this off, the ball and springs are just going to rest in there. They're not going to shoot out. So let's do that. You can just lift this off. I think it's easier if you just sort of pry it off by pushing down here. There, one of the balls fell out. Let's just dump everything. The springs go right for the magnets. That's a problem with this one. Let me give you a little bit of a closer up view here. Now you see there's two rows of detents. You have to pick one or the other. There's two holes for springs and balls, but they're both, you'll notice they're off-centered, and I think out of focus. Maybe now they're better. So since they're in line, you can't have a ball and spring on either side. It has to be one side or the other. And the other interesting thing is these magnets. These are the kind of magnets I was showing you that are in the rebound. Now, what we're going to do is reassemble this. If you want 6 clicks, then just put a spring and a ball in both sides and be done with it. That's the quickest way to say it. Then if you want dense or less dense, the cap either goes on this way or you turn it 180 degrees and it goes on that way. That way you either get one track or the other track. I want to go for the less dense track. So that means I have to flip it this way, I suppose, yes, because I'm going to take it and go like that. I only want one spring and a ball, and this is the only thing for me to tell you that's tricky about this one. If you're really nitpicky and into the details about things, this hole here it's not centered on the part. It's not directly centered on the part, but it's the closest hole to the center of the part. This hole here is further off to the right. So that's the hole that we want to use. And we only want to use one spring and one ball. I'm going to use the glass ball because I think it's a little louder, a little clickier. I hate the way that the spring just feels too long for the hole that it's in. But it works out. Unfortunately, the only way I've found to put this back together again is to slam the two pieces together as quick as you can. And as best you can in a downward fashion. You don't want to approach it at an angle or at this angle. You want to try to come straight down on it. Seems 8 times out of 10 that works, and I just can't think of a better way to do it. So let's try our luck here. Before we put it back together, let me also mention that I had to redo this segment, and when I did, I took off that tape. Here's the Teflon tape that used to be lining here and here on both sides. It was a little smoother with the tape. It's a little stickier without the tape, but it doesn't bother me that much. Now, back to the big excitement. I'm going to slap this piece on top of the other piece. It worked. So, why is it important to put the ball in the hole that's off-centered? Because if you don't, the clicks won't let you line this up when it's in its, I call this the resting position. When you're not doing anything with it, it should be landing on a click, which it is right now. You get 1, 2, basically 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3 clicks either direction. And when it clicks, it stops on the center and the body sides line up. If you put the ball in the hole that's closer to the center. We'll just do that quick. And I'll turn this down so I don't get a stupid copyright infringement. I didn't mean to turn it off, I just wanted to turn it down. So now we're putting that spring and ball into the hole that's closer to the center where I told you not to put it. And I would like to keep using the same. No, you know what, let's go back to the dense. We'll go back to the dense side. So more clicks, 6 clicks. And we'll slap her together. No. I need to show you in the paragraph mode or the less dense mode, because that's where we were. That's where the problem with this thing lining up is. So if we put the spring and the ball in the wrong place, I'll show you what happens. You still get your clicks, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a lot of you wouldn't even notice. 1, 2, 3, you still seem to get 3 clicks, but in resting position, do you see how off-centered that is? There's no ball landing in a hole as it travels over that center line. It's a little hard to do. Like I said, it's a little sticky, but nothing happens. There's no detent to stop it. And that's the kind of thing that bugs me. So I will keep the ball and spring in the off-centered hole. And I will keep it on the dense pattern because that's what I like. Oops, no, we didn't make it that time. You know right away. There we go. And don't lose your springs and balls, because they don't have any more. At least Valerian store didn't give me any extras. You might have better luck with the GAO store. And that is the link I'm going to use for my non-affiliated link, if I haven't said that already. I trust GAO, and the price was about the same. So, I think that's all there is to say about this. I hope it didn't go on too long, and I hope you're all well. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.